The Uncharted, what's the Uncharted Thieves, the Thieves Collection, I think it's called. That
Legacy of Thieves, I
Legacy
think.
of Thieves Collection. Okay, the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection was released for PC this past week, and the story that was going around this past weekend is how not great the player count was on Steam for the game. Max player count from this past weekend shows that the game made upwards to about 10,000 concurrent players at the time of its release, which is very low compared to PlayStation's other sales, which like God of War, which I think got 70,000, and other games like that. So, Zero, what were your thoughts when you heard about the potential sales and player count of the PC version of Uncharted?
It was a bit strange to see, especially since just a lot of people were just like, want to play some of the final Uncharted games that close out the saga, but, just don't want to buy a PS4 or whatever. And of course, here it is on PC, and of course, just it's kind of underwhelming as far as the numbers go. But in addition to that, apparently there's some weird performance problems with the game too,
Oh, yeah, really?
because some people have been saying that just they have they'll have like just absolutely insane killer systems that should easily be able to do like 120 FPS in 4K, but yet just these systems will just struggle and chug, and a lot of weird graphical options are just not there, like depth of field, the inability to just turn off motion blur and stuff like that, and then just weird QA bugs all over from what some people were reporting. And then this is not going to affect people in the West, but this is kind of a weird restriction to see on this game. But apparently, if you live in Japan and you buy the Legacy of Thieves collection with a Japanese account, apparently you will only get the Japanese language interface, and you will only get Japanese voice acting for the game.
Huh.
So you can't even toggle the English voices either if you're in Japan for some weird reason.
That's weird. So I didn't know they were having technical issues with the game. I just thought the sales numbers were that way because the first three were never released on PC. And if there are certainly people who have not played the Uncharted games and are interested in it, I doubt they'd want to start with four and then hopefully one, two, and three get released. I think a lot of them were looking at this release going, yeah, but I'm not familiar with the franchise, so I'm going to be lost on certain things. So why not release one, two, and three as well? That's weird. Why just four and five, or why just four and the Lost Legacy? That's a strange thing to do, and I think that cost them in sales too. I don't think this is a sign of Sony's PC strategy falling apart, like some people are saying. I think this is just a release that people wanted more out of, and just didn't get exactly what they wanted. I think if they released all five, these sales numbers would be a lot better. But they didn't. They only sold the last two. So that's my thought on it. I think that's why the sales and the player count is not that great right now.
Yeah, and I think honestly, a better idea for the PC release would have been to just, release a giant whopping Uncharted Mega Collection, just 1, 2, and 3, 4, and then Lost Legacy. Unfortunately, the PS Vita one will stay on the Vita because of the weird touchpad features and everything. So, not really a great way to muck about with that one. But yeah, just the fact that they didn't do sort of like a mega collection covering 1, 2, 3, 4, and Lost Legacy, I feel is a lost opportunity. I think personally, just if they maybe did a complete collection, maybe bumped up the pricing to the current meta for ninth gen games, which is just pricing it right at $70. I think that could have potentially been a great avenue to just get everyone into the Uncharted games in general, because at that point you would have the entire collection. and anyone who wants to start from the beginning of the saga and just go from there, it'd be a great way to play. But here we are, just Sony just had decided to just go, well, let's just do 4 and Lost Legacy and just call it a day for PC. And maybe it's just my odd opinion on it, but with just how cheap the original trilogy collection has been on a PS4, especially with PSN sales and everything, I think just valuing that stuff at maybe $20 isn't really too bad of a value proposition, and I think it would have still had a potential to have strong sales numbers and everything overall. So if you had that combined with this Legacy of Thieves collection, I think it would have been just something that could have had a potential to have had much better sales than just kind of bundling just 4 and Lost Legacy, because like you mentioned, some people just are not familiar with the Uncharted stuff, and to have them start at the tail end of the story, it's a bit harder to get into, because of course some people are just going to go, okay, well, what's the deal with how the story began? Where is this the history of the characters or whatever? So just honestly, it's a good point in my opinion. And again, just maybe it's just me being the value gamer thinking on this, but I think the opportunity to have maybe just bundled almost all of the Uncharted games together, it would have been a great sales opportunity. So that's honestly what I can say about it.
Yeah, Zara, I agree. He should have found a way to get all 5 of them in there, because I think that would have been not only a great deal, but then that would have taken care of the people who haven't played the series, period. And whether or not, and this goes for a lot of different games or movies or whatever, whether or not like people say like to start here at like start at a certain point, people still want to have access to the entire catalog of things. So to then say, oh, here's 4 and 5, you can't have 1, 2, and 3, I think was just a bad sales technique on this one. If they do decide to do 1, 2, and 3 and put it on PC, I can see 4 and 5 selling very well when that happens. But until then, I think these are the best numbers they're going to get. I mean, and when they have sales, there'll be people who will buy the game. But yeah, this was a missed opportunity. I agree with you. It just, they should have found a way to get all 5 of them in there, even if that means like the first 3 games aren't as pretty and polished as the other 2. They should have found a way to put them in there. But they might have had an issue with 1 and the 6-axis controls. That might be why they couldn't do it. But even then, like, to not have all of the games there, I think was a missed opportunity.
I hope for the sake of any PC players who have wanted the Uncharted games to come out to PC that maybe Sony revisits the discussion and says, hey, maybe let's try to get 1, 2, and 3 on PC, because maybe that might be a great way to drive up sales and everything, but we can only hope.
Thank you for listening to this podcast segment. The Capital Games podcast is done every week, and we post it on all your favorite podcast apps, as well as segments on YouTube. If you want to listen to another segment, you can listen to a new one right there on the screen. We also do a movie podcast called the Capital Games Movie Club. If you'd like, you can go ahead and click on that and see all the movies that we have reviewed from that point. Thank you for listening, and we hope to hear from you soon.